All right, I saw this, and as an animal lover, this is pathetic. This is especially it's in New York City. This is in New York, and this is the extent to where our society is. These people, New York is caring more about going in and killing a person's animals and their pets than they are about cleaning up their damn streets. So, um, the owner of Peanut the Squirrel explains how New York officials raided his house, took Peanut and his raccoon, and killed them. So Peanut was a squirrel, and then he had his raccoon. Um, 7-year-old Peanut and Fred the raccoon were euthanized after anonymous complaints. So it's not the fact that he shouldn't have had them, it's people were complaining about it. Officers raided my house as if I was a drug dealer. I was sat outside my house for 5 hours. I had to get a police escort to use to my bathroom. I wasn't even allowed to feed my rescue horses breakfast or lunch. I was sat there like a criminal after they interrogated my wife to check her immigration status. They proceeded to ask if I had cameras in the house, then proceeded to go through every cabinet, nook, and cranny in my house for a squirrel and raccoon. They got a search warrant for departments, and a judge signed off on it. Search warrant for a squirrel and a raccoon, and then they took them and killed them. This is the state of our government right now. They care more about a freaking raccoon and a squirrel than they do about, other people that shouldn't be here right now, that are costing millions upon millions of dollars of tax dollars, shoving them in gymnasiums and stuff like that. No, they're gonna go after a guy's raccoon and his squirrel. They're rescues. People go through a process to do that, and the fact that New York felt it was okay to go to this guy because he also said he had rescue horses. So they care more about some anonymous complaints about a freaking squirrel and a raccoon than they do about the other crap going on in their city. The feces littering the ground, the hypodermic needles all over the ground, the freaking crime. They care more about a freaking raccoon and a squirrel, a 7-year-old squirrel, than they do about the actual people of the city. How freaking pathetic is that? How freaking just absurd and freaking pathetic is that? We got TMZ, we got Harvey. I think he's doing an interview with the guy.
Um, I am so sorry. This must be really difficult for you.
It not only tears my family apart, but Peanut was the cornerstone of our nonprofit animal rescue. And 10 to 12 DEC officers raided my house as if I was a drug dealer.
So he just said a nonprofit animal rescue. He is allowed to do this. He's gone through whatever he needs to ensure that he can have these types of animals being, rescued. Nope. New York City and New York just doesn't care. They don't care. They care more about killing a dude's raccoon and squirrel than they do about protecting their own people.
I was sat outside my house for 5 hours. I had to get a police escort to my bathroom. I wasn't even allowed to feed my rescue horses breakfast or lunch. I was sat there like a criminal after they interrogated my wife to check out her immigration status, then proceeded to ask me if I had cameras in my house, then proceeded to go through every cabinet, nook, and cranny of my house for a squirrel and a raccoon.
They got a search warrant?
They got a search warrant. 4 departments and a judge signed off on a search warrant for a squirrel and a raccoon. And then they took them and killed them.
Why did they go through all that to get a search warrant for an animal that had been with you very safely, and the world witnessed this for 7 years? Why now suddenly did they show up with a search warrant and take these animals?
We haven't a clue. We don't know who made the complaints. Again, Peanut was an indoor squirrel, not harming anybody. He's been with us for 7 years. Not a single complaint was ever filed for this animal. We had him for 7.5 years. He became the world's most famous squirrel. We weren't hiding him by any means. He was all over TikTok. He became the first squirrel on TikTok to ever hit 1 million followers. He did every news station around the world. He's helped people. He's helped kids gather joy. And then we started a nonprofit animal rescue called Peanut's Freedom Farm to help animals like Peanut fight a good fight when they're in a neglected case or they're sitting in a slaughter auction. And he was the cornerstone of our life and our organization. We used his platform to help raise money for the 300 animals we have at our sanctuary.
We just
An animal sanctuary, meaning they are allowed to do this. They are allowed to have animals. If they want to have a squirrel or a raccoon or a freaking bald eagle, they are allowed to do so. They have gone through everything needed in order to ensure that they can. And New York, just like, oh, well, we're not going to look into this at all. We're just going to sign off on these warrants. We're going to let them raid your house and kill your animals for no freaking reason. No reason. Like the guy said, it's not like the squirrel was unknown. It was all over the internet. All over the internet. Inside squirrel, not harming anyone. Who in their right mind would say that this was an issue when he was allowed to have this rescue? Like, what is the world coming to when people are caring more about a freaking inside squirrel than they do about protecting their own freaking people and cleaning up their own damn streets? What are we doing as a society? And of course, I'm not surprised that it's New York. I'm not surprised that like a fucking shithole like New York. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. For us, for me, I'm in the South, seeing raccoons, squirrels, possums. I mean, there's a possum that comes out to the porch every freaking night. I've got the cat food out there, and every night I go out there and stand there while the possum's eating, and they're chill. They don't harm anyone. Same thing with the raccoons. You know, in the summertime, we'll get the raccoons up there. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's a family, but they just go up there, they hang out, they eat. I can go out there and they just chill. They're not harming anyone, especially a rescue squirrel or a rescue raccoon when they're inside. They're not hurting anyone. They're not out. So why would they sign off on such an absurd warrant? Why would they even... The man was allowed to have them. The animals weren't causing a problem for anyone. He had them for 7 years. They've been all over the internet, so it's not like, oh, we gotta hide you, Peanut. We gotta hide you. No. So why now, from 7 years? 7 years, why now? Why now did they finally, after many complaints, we're not going to look into this at all. We're just going to believe what everyone else is saying. What are they saying? That squirrels escaping and breaking into their homes and eating their stuff? Like, what would set them off to the point where they decide to, oh yeah, let's just sign off this warrant? And 5 hours? 5 hours for him sitting out there, being treated like he's a freaking criminal because he's taking care of animals? Are you kidding me? They seem to care more about this guy than people who are like sex trafficking kids. This is insane. This is insane. This is what our world's coming to. And again, I'm not surprised it's coming from New York. I am not surprised one bit. And if you're watching me and you live in New York, I am so sorry you live in a crappy state. You know, this is something you would expect from California. You know, this kind of weird bull crap where they care about more about doing dumb things and than they do taking care of their own people. You have crime running rampant on the streets. You have drugs, you have weapons, you have people being shoved into gymnasiums and stuff like that because of overpopulation from immigration, and they feel the need to just there's been a few complaints, so let's just kill the dude's animals. Let's just euthanize them. I mean, and saying about checking her immigration status, she's clearly she might be from Europe somewhere, Swedish, Poland, whatever, but why are they treating this dude like he's a criminal when he had full right to have these animals? I mean, and as an animal lover, as you can tell, this is completely infuriating for me. And as an animal, if you guys are animal lovers, this should be pissing you off too. Because it's not like, oh, well, he didn't have the right. No, he had a nonprofit organization. He had an animal sanctuary, and all of those things need to be, rules and regulations. So he had full permission. So as an animal lover, this is just infuriating that this dude had a squirrel and a raccoon. The squirrel for 7 years, not unknown to people, out there in the open. And after 7 years, some whiny little babies in freaking New York decided to complain about it. And the freaking government there is so stupid that they're like, oh, well, we're not going to investigate. We're just going to sign off on this war and allow his pets to be euthanized. New York, you can go fuck yourself. Seriously. Go take a big floppy fucking dick and go fuck yourself. You pieces of fucking shit. That's all for me. Bye.